All right, welcome everybody to another exciting episode. I am honored today to have Sarmed Faraj, a seasoned IT leader and a cybersecurity powerhouse with over 15 years of commanding the tech battlefield. In his current role at Accenture as a security consulting manager, Sarmed masterminds solutions in the cloud infrastructure security that fortify and streamline operations with a track record of transforming IT infrastructures into formidable data centers and crafting disaster recovery systems that withstand. Not only is Sarmed a robust security policy and business continuity expert, he's also recognized for his acute business acumen, managing to optimize IT performance and effectuate cost savings even when resources are stretched thin. Welcome, Sarmed. I really appreciate you joining me this week.
Jason, the pleasure is mine, and thank you very much for taking the time and inviting me for this great opportunity. I truly appreciate it.
Absolutely. So as I start every podcast, I really like to get to know my guest a little bit more, understanding how they got into the IT industry, right? As myself, I came from the auto industry. I was a customer service rep, moved into some banking customer service reps, and then eventually went back to school for IT, learning how the computers work, and then finding my way into network engineering and now into the cloud networking engineering. So very curious on how you got your start in the industry.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for letting me speak a little bit about that. We all, as you say, always wonder when we meet other colleagues, like, hey, how did you start? Because we're passionate about what we do. I started it back in when I was in college. I started as a civil engineer major, and really IT and math, and it took a lot more interest for me. So I switched to, the math major. Back then, IT wasn't really huge back then, coding and only. And I took coding at the time, and I got interested in Fortran and RPG and stuff like that. And then, again, I got more involved into the coding. And like in my senior year in college, I'm like, I want to stay. The math and computer was the same division. I said, I want to graduate in math. In a computer degree. So senior year, I got more involved in the computer and graduated in computer science. And then, when you go into the computer world at the time, really the internet wasn't a major player. So it was more coding and operations than IT. So I got into IT like we all, did, and into the operation part of the IT. And from there, I maneuvered around and got into the management. And that's when really that play comes in. When you get into the management, you got the team to code with you. You got the business strategy. You got, how to grow the business, how IT evolved. So once you get into the management, it's a whole different mindset. Understanding finances, understanding, where to allocate your money and how to drive the business, because IT is an expenditure. It's just like accounting, We're here to help the business, but never there bringing, unless we're, an IT company. But still, we are still there helping the business. So anyway, so got into this and then went from industry to industry. My biggest interest came in when I got into the financial industry, the compliance and the security part. And that would really inflate me, very, very interested. I mean, security was always part of IT management and compliance, but when I got in the financial industry, it became a lot more emphasis. If you don't have the security compliance, you're not going to survive. You cannot be in the financial.
Absolutely. Anything in the financial industry is heavily compliant from a security perspective.
Yes. And if you recall, security back then, and as I said, when you started, it really, the hacking, whatever, was just, if you recall, just Outlook. They were not getting into the crown jewel of data or crown jewel of your processing and taking money from you and stuff like that. I mean, if you remember the target POS hacking, and how they filtrated and then investigate. I mean, it's just the whole sophisticated how things got in when the internet completely became open and everything was fast processing or everything. So that compliance that what got me into security, and going from there where we have to be, where I was in the director for a company where we manage all the ATMs for major financial banks. I mean, I had a colleague of mine for many years. He started working for Accenture with security. And we talked about security. And then he said, look, you're really great in security. You talk about how much you drive. Why don't you leave that management, whatever, and come security at Accenture. And that's when I joined Accenture, and I specifically joined the Zero Trust division of Accenture and the 0 day and the zero thing. So that's how really where I am now. And being with Accenture, it was really the best opportunity I took and the best career, always on the cutting edge of learning and being the best as we are. And that comes from the leadership, all the way from the CEO to the people who report to. They want you to challenge yourself, learn, and be at your best. And then when we get into, when you're a director, you have that domain you protect. When you work for Accenture, there is challenges there. You go from client to client. They desperately need you to jump in, learn what they need, and drive them out to where they need to be at within a very fast move project. So it's a challenging and fast, and I'm very passionate about it, and truly found my niche with Accenture. Right from the colleagues. And the other things too is really I want to emphasize majorly about the Accenture and the work, the team, because in IT you only can be succeed when you have the right team with you.
Yeah, that's a great point. The ability to lean on a team or a team member, something that you don't know, something that is maybe you're stuck on.
We all have those days,
and have those conversations with other technical leaders within your organization, or even outside of your organization, even if you're talking to enterprises, because everybody does things a little bit different.
Everybody does a little different. And we all help each other, And even something that with IT the other day, I came from experience of the mainframe or something mid-range, and somebody pinged, hey, anybody knows why we got this AS400? And somebody knows, and I'm secure, whatever. We have a way, if somebody just reach out to something or try to get help, everybody jump in. And this is really where we all feel like family, like really, and with the leadership behind us, And they know if I want to, my leadership and says, look, I'm struggling here, and hear somebody's like, oh, as so-and-so, me as expert in this, actually, that benefit the client 100%.
Absolutely. Let's circle back into the security conversation for just a second. You said something very interesting, and as we've grown through the different developments throughout IT and the IT industry, the perimeter of security has changed. The landscape of security has changed tremendously over the years. You brought up the whole fact of, hey, back in the original days where the internet wasn't really a focus point, that people were just starting to use the internet. The only infiltration point really was email at that point. You got an email that was not right. You opened it up and some kind of bot decided to, started to infiltrate your infrastructure. So the perimeter was very isolated. They're typically at a data center with a firewall. Most of the WANs in those days were all point-to-point connections, right?
Frame relay.
Yeah, exactly. Frame relay, ISDN still doesn't work. Still doesn't network, actually. My old ISDN days were fun. How do you see security in the cloud and the change in that from a perimeter perspective, and how are customers dealing with that security in the cloud today?
So when we talk about the cloud, I think I like to divide the cloud into two. So we're talking about the Fortune 500, okay? Because you have two flavors in the cloud. You got the small business, which is most of the application already in the SaaS, and that's protected, and then they have this certain protection. And then you got, most of them either on Microsoft or whatever, and they got the Office 365 and limited. There's no complexity. When you come to the Fortune 500, you have the multi-cloud management. When they go to the cloud, you got the Azure, give them something. You got AWS, give them another flavor. Yeah. And then you also got the private cloud, and then connecting that with their on-prem. So that's really where the complex comes in, in the cloud. They know they cannot survive without being in the cloud. That's important. The app, the quick deployment of the app, the management of the app, and everything the cloud we're then going to get into. But security-wise and how it is, it's really provided and opened the door, and how do you secure that with the cloud? And then specifically, I want to jump in because we have here for Aviatrix, where Aviatrix comes in. How simplify the cloud management. Give you management and interface, where you can just simply see the the vulnerability where you need to deploy Aviatrix and allow you to connect with the cloud a lot seamlessly, where if you don't have that, you're limited to connecting through the firewall, and you do the connectivity, and you really be limited to seeing the visibility what Aviatrix provide. And I want to bring Aviatrix because that's what we have here.
Yeah, absolutely. We are doing an Aviatrix podcast, and I appreciate you bringing up Aviatrix. A couple of the things you touched upon there, from a feature perspective, right? We've changed that perimeter in the cloud itself from a security perspective of being a centralized manner of security, where you're bringing everything back to a centralized firewall, AWS firewall, a Palo Alto, a checkpoint, whatever that might be.
Whatever that be, yes.
With Aviatrix, one of our features with distributed cloud firewalling, you're now able to take the, based on tags or any type of cloud attribute, put that against the policy and then place that into the VPCs or VNets themselves, as well as, full end-to-end encryption.
And also, if I may add to that, the NAT gateway, whether you guys come in, where you got hybrid, connectivity and the limitation of that, and where you guys come in and help in that. Now the limitation where you can do, it's a secure encrypted connections where, limitation on that. And you can go way above behind what the connectivity offered, without Aviatrix. And we know the normal connectivity is 1.25 limit into there. It comes in Aviatrix, and the option is unlimited, goes up to 10 to 25 gigabyte. And within the connected on the VNets, the performance can go up to 20 to 40 gigabytes. So there was a tremendous advantage there that we learned, and we continue to learn that what Aviatrix brings to the table, aimed to the cloud for the Fortune 500. It's really, really amazing.
Yeah, again, one of the features from a distributed cloud firewalling perspective, and you touched upon it a little bit from a NAT gateway perspective, is being able to, so natively, customers don't have the visibility today with a NAT gateway. The NAT gateway just takes a private IP address, creates a network address translation to a public IP address. Your traffic goes out. You have no visibility on where it's going, who it's talking to.
Yes.
There are possibilities of developers having that access out and downloading a binary that they might need for something, but that might have some type of threat as it's downloaded into that particular workload. Now it could be infiltrated across your entire platform.
The way Aviatrix designed, when you place out your controllers, in the transition, NAT gateway, and how you see the future of flow IQ, where you see how your data floating. And let me bring one option, because people say, okay, I'm adding another cost to the cloud. Actually, that's one thing I want to talk about when you move to the cloud for a minute, if I can. Because Absolutely. I personally, before I went to Accenture, I had to move a lot of our applications that they running on SQL 2008 or Server 2008 that we weren't able to migrate on time, that we can only have them in compliance and get the update if we shift them up to the cloud. And doing that, yes, Azure does give you the tools. You put them in your environment and you say, this is my server, I want to move up to the cloud. And then you do the calculation on that, and you do the calculation on egress costs and all that. And you add another 20% to it on the cost, and you take it up to the cloud. And when you go in and the first month, third month, you get into 6 months, and then the traffic of that egress increase, and then the cost, comes into you in a bill, no matter how much you tag and you're trying to see the cost optimization Aviatrix provide is phenomenal. And that's why I think where you can bring in still the benefit of how you satisfy the cost. Look, if you bring Aviatrix, you put the gateways in there and just let it just check it. And then from there, you can also check on the cost and so forth and see how we can optimize that cost efficiently, where we can do the cost survey, and then whatever Aviatrix bring with that, it's like tapping on ice cream,
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned a couple of interesting points there from a feature perspective in Aviatrix, with the ability to, one, because the packets flow across our data plane,
yes,
we get full visibility into the flows, and you can actually see source and destination of the IPs. You can do things like packet capture, We can do things like our App IQ, where we're able to do end-to-end analysis from regardless of what clouds the workloads are in. We can do end-to-end analysis to make sure everything is connected. Things that take multiple tabs and flow logs to be able to capture, we're able to capture it almost immediately, where we might be able to capture a security group that is failing, or a route that isn't been inputted properly. We can do that in a matter of seconds.
Absolutely. And you just point out the security group and stuff like that, and I want to touch on that again. You put the firewall there. Firewall doesn't read behind, we have the hub and spoke and stuff like that. Cannot read behind that firewall what's going on in there. You could be somebody added, security group in there, or NSG in there, that it is blocking the traffic coming to the firewall, and you don't have visibility. Or, honestly, most cases we see, they'll have an application running in AWS. They're running the multi-factor authentication in Azure. And so you get the Azure authentication stuff all right. And when the traffic there goes in, as he said, you don't see it. If you have the gateway from Aviatrix, packet capture there, you can see, okay, it went through, AWS, and AWS did the authentication, the packet came back, and you have a true visibility where it will take hours to troubleshoot between firewall logs, the logs off what he dumped it for the cloud, and AWS, and trying to see where after authentication, where the application is failing, and where the traffic is not going. And it will take hours.
And I think one of our conversations, leading up to our podcast here, we talked about the fact that even though you have that firewall there and it might be passing the traffic, it's a good possibility that a security group is blocking that, right?
Absolutely.
How do you find that?
Absolutely. And one thing that is that the firewalls, Palo Alto says, doesn't have, if you bring third-party firewall, it cannot read those, where Aviatrix, when you look into the App IQ or you look into the Copilot in there, and there was a few shifts where in there, it tells you everything that it managed by Aviatrix. And even if it's not managed by Aviatrix, it says yes or no in there. When you want there's a security group, it's not managed by it. I don't think there is a firewall out there from third party that really have the connectivity like Aviatrix, where it can read all the way drill down what do you have in the security booth and work, and it is managed by us or not.
Exactly. So you're working with a lot of Fortune 500 customers with Accenture. Where are you seeing hybrid connectivity issues today with regards to getting data center traffic up into the cloud and, the challenges that your customers are facing?
Yeah, so I think the most challenging one now is really the increased adoption of edge computing, is the demand for real-time data processing. That's growing massively. It is not just going to the cloud. How can I provide that data in the real time as possible? Where edge computer comes in. It's bringing the request of that, whatever it is, you got the app and then the client request. And you've seen it just in everyday things, and people in social media, if they're just worried about the media. Instagram will never work if you load it, and then it will take a little bit to load, and you'd be frustrated, and you're like, I'm done. I mean, then nature how we became. We need that data now, we need it fast, and we need it delivered. And to have that in the cloud, you need to bring need to work with edge computing, understand it, and bring the data closer to that and deliver it. And that's where it comes in, where we talk about where Aviatrix can help. Latency, the deliverer of the data, where you're having that latency, when you can see the traffic flow, the multi-dynamic topology mapping in Aviatrix, where it shows you as soon as you connect what you're going to and how you make it. There's tools in there where you got multi-cloud. I didn't see it before, and if you just talking firewall to firewall. You don't see that pen view. That quickly is like, imagine video live, right, and connected to what Aviatrix provide. And that's, I think, is the key to a successful cloud. You cannot survive in the cloud if you do not control the demand of the app and the access of that and how fast the access of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just so our listeners understand what we're talking about from a hybrid connectivity, one of the large use cases that we see is our secure data center connectivity, right, with our edge product, which brings the same functionality that we offer into the cloud all the way down to the data center. You deploy an edge product. It can be in a colo. We partner both with Megaport and Equinix, as well as being able to deploy a virtual appliance or a physical appliance in your data center and making that connection into those clouds. And the benefit to that is you now have the same capability of packet capture and high performance encryption across either a direct connect, it can be over the internet for DR purposes, and creating some kind of a backbone between the individual clouds. So now you have resiliency as well. So if you're connected to multiple clouds, whether it be AWS, Azure, GCP, the backbone there is always going to be connected. You can bring your traffic back on-prem if you'd like and send it to those clouds, or traverse that across the public internet across into each individual cloud. So you truly get a good DR solution right out of the box.
I want to mention something like a lot on the Fortune 500, and specifically the financial and some of the governments and stuff like that. If they want to go from on-premise, they say, okay, we want to go to cloud, but we don't trust the public cloud. No matter how secure it is, no matter what Azure give you, they have restriction. They still want to have a domain control. They don't care if they have to do their own redundancy and stuff like that. They want it to be private. And having private cloud, and then you still have to have Azure for belong, Active Directory, whatever, and connecting those, that's also where Aviatrix can help you tremendously. Seeing the traffic, seeing the pan through, seeing the costs, in your egress, transaction costs and stuff like that. All that really, it is really a tools I don't see how really the Fortune 500 can be without having, the extra help from Aviatrix, what brings it to the table. Besides the cost saving, which almost makes it free.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Depending on what you're doing in the cloud and how you're making those connections, we can absolutely help, reduce those costs based on NAT gateway egress costs, direct connect costs, having your traffic not have to flow back to your data center and go to another cloud.
And adding encryption to it, where Azure, if you look at this thing, we don't provide it to third-party provided when you take the hyper connection stuff. There are services encrypted if you're doing backable already, but if you're doing any other 50, you need to rely on third party.
Absolutely. I'd be remiss to not ask this question about Accenture and the partnership with Aviatrix. How is Accenture, your team, what is your team's function as to helping your customers today?
In the security, well, not only in security, we've come in and seen most of the demand these days, really. It's mostly, in the security side, is defending the zero day. I mean, we all have, the zero trust, and everybody wanted the zero trust. Some people want the zero trust, but right now, it is really, how we not have a downtime, whether it's from, we all know the last 2 or 3 years, or from SolarWinds or CrowdStrike, your down can be from your trusted client,
Yep.
So how can we avoid that? How can we be secure? And how can we manage the business and be challenging and be profitable while we be on the cloud? So they want to be in the cloud. They want to rely on a partner, but they want to protect themselves from the partner they are serving them. And they want to protect it from the zero day, that everybody have those applications that they have to have and they have to secure, but they are sitting on the side, you have to protect it because they cannot be with the latest technology of security. So we see a lot of, in my view, when I come in, we see a lot of companies saying, help us be secure. Help us have a zero day where things we have no control on, all of a sudden, or third party find out they have an issue with one of the application they pushed or one of the renew versioning, and we want to be secure where we don't have any defense. How do we defend it? So that's what we do the segmentation, you do the network, you protect the client unless when security comes in, and then we look at everything is what they have. And that's what pretty much we do our evaluation and we make recommendation and the timeline. Some timeline comes in very short, or we have to bring more people on the table to deploy. And some timeline will be older, but mostly it's wholly protecting themselves, not just from the outside hacking. It's protecting themselves from the trusted client, not that trust client gonna be a danger, but give them limited to disrupt operation,
Yes.
So, or what happened recently with the cloud side, where, everybody was one, airline was halted for nothing. So that's what really now the most demand is. And even if I have the client, how do I protect myself?
Yes. How do you protect that client and yourself?
Exactly. While still running the business. So this is where it really comes in.
This topic is top of mind for a lot of our customers. I think a lot of the enterprises out there, regardless of whether they're Fortune 500, I think the Fortune 500s are more apt to act on this currently. But where do you see the advantages of having AI and security mold together today? And the second part to the question will be, where do you see AI helping just in the industry overall?
AI is having a lot of bad, reputation these days. And I think AI, Gen AI, it's one of the biggest technological evolution that ever happened. I mean, if we go back and think on, the internet when it first started, and people start creating website and they have their business going, a lot of businesses didn't really see benefit of the having my own website. I already have my business is growing. Why do I need a website? And they later realized even the client right here is not working. He can find exactly what your specific niche in the market just having that website. So if you really go back and think, not everybody should on the on the internet can start building websites. And the same thing with AI right now. We at Accenture, we started that way ahead when AI and became mandatory for all Accenture employee to know AI, to learn about AI. And we have 2 or 3 mandatory courses we have to take to be in AI. And in fact, we know that you will not survive the next 5 years if you're not participating part of the AI. And one thing I think Julie Sweet just mentioned, our CEO, a lot of our competitors are really, upset seeing how we quickly changed our dynamic of this and we switched to AI. In fact, Accenture AI just reported that, grew from 300 million to 3 billion from 2023 to 2024, So AI is going at fast speed. Now, going back to how people see AI and how a lot of people shutting it down. Just like the internet, as I go back, with every technology, there is a safe use and there's a commodity put in it. And that's when security comes in. I'm bringing the security into AI. AI makes security a lot more complex, more challenging, because beside the fact that AI helps business and AI helps security detect the bad actor, security the bad actor getting a lot more intelligent of how they mimic things and make AI part of their business. So that's when we come in and AI comes on helping the security when it comes to XDR, EDR, no matter how good those tools is, it still gives you a lot of false alarm. It gives you a lot of garbage and stuff like that. AI these days, it's minimizing a lot of that. So what I want to say is, in conclusion, whether security, non-security, people need to realize that AI here to help us, not to take, human job away, whatever. Yeah, some job going to be eliminated, but it's opening the door to a lot more like internet is. Same thing in AI. Businesses don't accommodate and don't be part of AI. They will not be able to compete in the next 5 years because AI speeds up and help you to do everything faster.
Yes.
I truly see AI. It's already now, but all businesses need to adapt to AI, whether security, whether making their business, whether medicine, in the next 5 to 10 years, because otherwise everyone driving through that and then used it behind it will be like the internet with the website instance. I'm just giving a small example.
You'll be left behind.
Yes.
You'll want to get a forefront of it.
Absolutely. You just don't see the benefit in the beginning when you later on, just like we are with our competitors, where, our CEO mentioned, she'd like our competitors are really upset because how Accenture adopted and knew from the beginning, Gen AI and AI is playing major role in the computing. It's the biggest revolution in computing, just like the internet did.
Well, I think there's an opinion out there that, AI could take away jobs, right? It's going to reduce jobs. It's going to eliminate some aspects of the industry. And I think of it a little bit differently, similar to the way you think about the internet and how the internet exploded. And I think it's going to create an industry. It's going to create an industry of regulations. I mean, there'll be regulations that'll need to be put around what can and can be done with AI. There'll be larger fields of interest from a data scientist perspective and understanding how the neural networks work and how AI actually pulls that data from everything. So our CEO, Doug Merritt, said at one point about AI, and it's like the Industrial Revolution, where people were going to be out of work because all of a sudden now you have all of these machines doing the jobs but it creates other jobs, right? It creates other opportunities.
Absolutely. While we work more efficiently, you produce better data, you produce better accurate product, better accurate data, you detect viruses a lot better. And when you do things better, you'll be able to enhance and be more secure and work faster and produce better and be more profitable. That's really the key.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Where do you see yourself in 5 years with the growth of AI and the security aspects? And what else interests you from an IT perspective? Because I think everybody in IT has a little bit of an ADHD mentality. There's always something new. There's always a new object that you want to learn about and go after. What do you see from a cloud perspective? What's the next big thing that Sarmed sees?
Number one, I want to say, working in a company like Accenture, it's really where I see my next 5 to 10 years, hopefully, where I can drive and be, because when I tell people, I used to tell people I work as a director, whatever, they talk, oh, so what do you do? When I talk to them, I say I'm Accenture, they know I do. It's like, oh, okay, sure. What are you guys working on? Because they know it's the top edge of technology we always on. We always do. So we always challenge each other, like, hey, this and it makes you get better. It drives you to be better. And when you go to the client benefit from it. I'm always going to be in IT, but security specifically the next 5 years. And hopefully I learn more about whatever you guys have to enhance in your tools on Aviatrix or any other new vendor comes in that I partner with and learn more. It's truly, truly exciting. And I'm truly blessed to be and where I am in my career.
Great. Fantastic. And I really appreciate you coming on the podcast today. I love how you just brought it all back to the team effort. I think, having a team around you and having the ability to go and ask the questions that you may not necessarily be the expert in a particular topic, to be able to go out and get there. I love how you brought that back into the conversation. We could talk about this all day. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. The best to your success. And I look forward to seeing what you do a couple of years down the road. We'll definitely be in touch.
The pleasure is all mine, and I truly appreciate it. It's been a pleasure to be here, and a pleasure to know more about Aviatrix and to partner with you guys.
Outstanding. Thank you so much.